Our studio guest joins us every few Thursdays on the air. That's Ken Menzel from the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department. It's 8:23 and 27 right now. Bill Colley with you as well on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. A couple of things you're talking about today that really I think are important in this community. But right off the top, you briefly mentioned it during the last visit, women's self-defense. Now,
Yes.
any woman who's ever come out of the mall late at night or a grocery store late at night knows exactly that the feeling you get if you feel that someone perhaps is like scoping you or following you around.
Right.
And this is where you might have a need to someday defend yourself. And it's not going to happen maybe to most people, but I'll tell you what, the day it does happen to someone, you better be ready.
We see random acts of violence increasing all the time. Um, and hopefully this is something that you never have to use, but it's better to always be prepared. And that's what we teach any of our new officers, any of our new deputies coming on, is to surround themselves with a hyper sense of vigilance, to not be paranoid, but to, make sure that they're looking around and checking their surroundings, especially, you see in our particular environment nowadays, with the number of increased police shootings. Just a recent shooting that we see in Colorado
Mm-hmm.
yesterday
Mm-hmm.
with one deputy killed and two struggling, or one struggling for his life. Um, that's one of the reasons why, as we're looking at some of the increased violence, even in our own community, that uh, the sheriff and his staff decided to put on this women's self-defense class. It's a free class, but space is limited, and that is on March 12th, and that's going to be at the Canyon Ridge High School Wrestling Room from 9 to 12.
That's a Saturday, right?
It is. So look at our Facebook page. It's posted there, but you're welcome to contact Stacy at the sheriff's office. Her number is 736-4179 if you want to register and come down and be a part of that class. It's taught by Corporal Dana Scott. She's one of our corporals in the jail, and she just recently returned from a bunch of different training that she's an industry expert in how to prepare for a situation like that. I know that she also does some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and we'll have other instructors from the sheriff's office, as well as the Twin Falls Police Department there to help us with that instruction in that 3-hour class.
Got a good news story you're also talking about today, and that's, of course, Easter is a very exciting time for a lot of the
Yes, it
kids
is.
in this community.
And the Sheriff's Office Employee Association is having its annual Easter egg hunt. We've done this for years and years and years, and it's a great event for our employees to get out there and interact with these families who have children with special needs. That event is coming up on March 26th, and we always have it out at the Twin Falls County Fairgrounds. Again, this is for families who have children with special needs. We create an environment where the community really comes out and supports us, donating baskets and whatnot. So these children, when they come out, not only do they have the chance to gather Easter eggs, but we send them home with a really nice Easter egg basket too that we get from a lot of the local stores. Target donates, Shopco donates, and so on and so forth. And it's really just a great coming together of the community, if you will, to support these children, and it's a great time.
I always remember this time of year. I was telling Ken a story off air about how I was going home from an Easter egg hunt when I was about in the first grade, and there was a little girl from the neighborhood, and she was with me. She was a year younger than I was, and we were crossing a wooden bridge, and a train was coming, and I was frightened by the sound of the train, so I grabbed her hand and dragging her across the bridge, she fell down and tore her leotards on the knees.
Right.
But she wasn't angry about that. But she smashed her Easter egg, and she never forgave me.
And the holiday was ruined.
We used to go home and crack them up and eat them anyway, but
Right.
It was not the time, I guess, to break that egg.
Right.
But it was always interesting though too, because you never knew at that time of year whether it was going to be warm or whether it was going to be cold, because
You're
Easter
right.
moves around and the weather's kind of dicey this time of year too.
Yeah, we're hoping for good weather, but yeah, in years past, you can look at some of our photos on our website from some of the years past events, and look at how much fun not only our deputies are having, but the children that come out.
Even I don't think the kids care if it's 25 degrees. I mean,
They're looking for those
25 or
bright colors,
75.
and
Yeah.
the smile on their faces when they see that they're walking away with more than just a couple of eggs. You see some of these baskets that we give the kids, and those smiles and the feeling that's there. That's why we keep doing it. It's our small way of giving back to the community.
I was going to say for a lot of them too. See, I can still remember this stuff 50 years later. I'm sure that they will have the same type of memories for years to come.
So look at our Facebook page. We just started an Instagram page as well. We'll have those events posted on there. If you're not able to really remember some of the things we put out there, all that information is reposted on our social media.
You're going to stick around a few more minutes
Sure.
because we're going to talk about a planned concert in Tampa, Florida.
Oh,
Uh,
you're going to put me on the spot, Bill.
I just want to. I'm hoping that perhaps we can get a little bit of law enforcement's view on this. You don't have to take a position. I'm just.
Gotcha.
We'll talk about the news part of it. But for those folks who don't know, the singer Beyonce is having a concert at Raymond James Stadium in. That's where the Buccaneers play in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, or St. Petersburg, wherever the stadium happens to be, same area on the actual bay. But also, of course, we've seen some, as Ken alluded to earlier, some numbers. We're still seeing people who are, well, I guess the feeling is any longer that if you see someone in a uniform, you don't have to respect them, and things are really getting out of hand in some parts of the country. That's on the way in just a few minutes. It's 28. Coming up on 8:30, Ken Menzel joining us from the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department. Bill Colley with you as well on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Ken Menzel is joining us in studio from the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department. Um, I don't know if he has all this time today, but
Absolutely. I
he's
can
been
make whatever time you need, Bill.
he's
This is
been
my job
gracious.
description.
Yes, they're actually everybody over at the department seems to be very gracious with time.
Yes.
I've noticed that. I was actually over at the courthouse one day and I saw the sheriff. Some woman had dropped by and she had some questions, and he sat right down out in the hallway on the bench with her and answered all of her questions.
That's not uncommon to see with our sheriff. He welcomes anybody who comes in that wants to talk to him and sit down. And if he's not in a meeting at the time, I've never seen him turn anybody away. He sits down and discusses those needs with them. And if he doesn't have an answer, he'll come to one of us as one of his sergeants or one of his patrol deputies and hunt for the answer until he gets the right one and takes care of that individual's need.
It is a people. I think most people appreciate the fact that being in law enforcement is obviously it's a busy job, number one, and yet you do take the time out because that's part of the description.
Right.
But it's also a risky job. And I was referencing what happened in Florida, where Beyonce, a number of local police officers decided not to take the overtime and work her concert because I think there's a feeling among law enforcement that there are certain people who are not supportive.
Right.
And what we've seen, the newspapers are trying to say, some of the big ones, that we're not seeing any more fatalities this year. That the numbers were the same for police officers last year in the first couple of months is this year. But I saw a statistic the other day. Last year, the numbers were almost identical, but more of those were law enforcement getting killed in car accidents while going to a scene, or in a pursuit, something like that may have happened. This year, they've almost all been shootings.
Right.
And that's the really alarming part.
We're seeing a higher trend in murders of police officers. Absolutely. If you look at the Officer Down Memorial page and you look at previous years where we were at this date and time compared to where we're at in this current year, that number is alarming. To see the number of people who blatantly feel that it's acceptable to shoot a police officer who is acting in the course of their duty to protect and preserve our constitutional rights and our freedoms. It seems like a lot of these individuals have become brazen enough to not really care about the outcome, whether they lose their own life or not. And that's why the sheriff's office, if you follow us and see what we've done recently, we're supporting our brothers in blue out there, not just within our own community, but nationwide. And we're reaching out to these families and to these victims and to the officers in these departments where the shootings have occurred to let them know that we mourn with them as a sheriff's office, but our community also mourns with them.
It's happening all over the country, though, too. It doesn't seem to be, and there are regional differences. I think people in this part of the country are more respectful of law enforcement, but the numbers are the same here as they are in Maryland, as they are in Alabama, as they are in Maine. It seems to be that it's going on everywhere.
Well, you came down to the 5 Points just the other day and saw the support that we have from our community. There were a lot of people who stopped in to get their blue ribbons and
We're out
show
of
their
them now,
support.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I took a handful and I've passed those out. And the support that we have locally it's huge. We're grateful for it. And like I mentioned, we did a news clip with KMVT there the other day, and I continue to stand behind what I said there on the news clip is that we're grateful for the support that we get from our community it makes it easier to do our jobs. We can't be everywhere all at the same time. We don't see half the things that our residents see, and as they help us fight crime, and they're our so-called eyes and ears, and turn us onto those leads that help us to um, keep our community safe. We're grateful for the information that we get, and when we're able to act on it, and those leads come our way, and we're successful in the outcomes, it really does preserve the rights of those who are law-abiding citizens.
We got about a minute and a half to go. We'll squeeze a telephone caller in. Caller, are you with us? No, I think that we have that rollover line going. You're on the air with Ken Menzel.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Sure, go ahead. We're running out of time. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I have two quick questions. What is the Sheriff's Department's thoughts on constitutional carry, and what is the Sheriff's Department's thoughts on gun confiscation?
I know in speaking with Sheriff Carter that he supports the Second Amendment. And to speak beyond that, I would be out of turn. But I know that in speaking with the sheriff and looking at the sheriff's press releases and whatnot, I know that Sheriff Carter is pro Second Amendment.
And I want to thank him for the call. We will actually be hearing more from Sheriff Carter because he'll be talking about outlining his positions before Election Day
Correct.
and primary day and the like. So I promise you that will be on the way, and they'll be able to hear it directly from the sheriff.
Yep.
And so want to thank him for the telephone call. Of course, that's being debated. That'll all come down. A lot of that is really a decision now in Boise on the
Yeah,
constitutional
that's a
carry.
legislative decision that's going to come our way. And I know that you know I personally support the Second Amendment, and I support Second Amendment rights of everybody that's out there. I just hope that as we look at constitutional ability to carry a firearm, I just hope that everybody does so responsibly.
You can take a training course.
That's right.
20 minutes. And a lot of people out there I know actually are offering that course, and you know the same thing. We'll talk
Yes.
about that perhaps in another
segment. Yeah.
Yeah,
Another show some other time.
20 minutes away from 9 o'clock. I almost said 10 o'clock. It's
early
not Friday
still.
yet. I'm not in that big a hurry to get out of here. But want to thank Ken, and we'll see you again.
Thanks.
Gosh, it's pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, it'll be March, second week of March.
Okay, that's coming up in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's 8:40. It's 28. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and News Radio 1310.com.